Hey all, my name is Grayson, and I recently spent almost 24 hours at Kent Hovind's Dinosaur Adventureland. For those of you who might not know who that is, Kent Hovind is an evangelical, young earth creationist, Christian nationalist who, after getting out of prison for tax evasion, established Dinosaur Adventureland in Alabama, where that is basically a creationist museum and dinosaur theme park dedicating his entire life to fighting against evolution being part of science or being taught in public schools. And by evolution, what Kent means is anything that goes against the biblical narrative in science or history. So the Big Bang, that's evolution. Planet and star formation, that's evolution. All of human history up till about, 4,000 years ago when he thinks Noah's flood happened, yeah, that's part of the evolutionary worldview, and he wants that out of public schools because it's part of evolution. So that's who we're dealing with. And being that I have a channel dedicated to debating against pseudoscience like young earth creationism, I have debated Kent Hovind before, during which he invited me to come down to Dinosaur Adventureland and take the tour and see what they're all about. So I decided, hey, why don't I do just that? And during a road trip, I dropped by unannounced to see what would happen. And not only did I meet Kent Hovind and take the tour, but I also ended up going to dinner with him and his wife, as well as going shopping at Walmart and spending the night at Dinosaur Adventureland. Trust me, guys, you're gonna want to see the rest of this video. Let's see what Dinosaur Adventureland is all about, shall we? So right away in the parking lot, we're greeted by a lovely Stegosaurus and a Triceratops coexisting with a human tractor. So everything tracks so far. The Christmas lights on the dinosaur are a very nice touch, I will admit. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but I actually arrived during Kent's Sunday church service, right in the middle of it. So everybody was at the Genesis Baptist Church, and yeah, it was eerily quiet on the premises except for a barking dog that was yapping right at me. And I went up to the dog, and someone's head popped out of the church to try to quiet the dog because the services were going on. And that's when he noticed me and invited me inside to attend the church service. Now, guys, I really haven't attended very many church services in my life. I haven't been to church all that much, but I was immediately struck by the fact that right when you walk in, right next to the entrance is a massage chair. Is this normal? Is it normal to have a massage chair right there next to the pews in church? I certainly thought it was bizarre, but hey, who doesn't like a massage chair, right? So I sit back in the back of the pews and just sort of listen to what's going on. And I gathered it was supposed to be a sermon about the woman at the well and Jesus and some Bible scriptures, but yeah, let's just say that it was really just a playlist of Kent Hovind's greatest hits. I heard evolutionists think that we all evolved from rocks. The Big Bang was a dot of nothing that exploded. Just all of the things that he likes to repeat in all of his debates and slideshow PowerPoints. He was talking about how dogs always reproduce dogs, and it was just the show Kent Hovind's greatest hits. And I felt really bad for the, between maybe 20 or 30 people in the audience who, clearly they're listening to this every single Sunday. The same basic talking points week in and week out. And yeah, you could tell some of them were paying attention closely, but while I was sitting there, I couldn't help but notice audible snoring going on. Yeah, I'm not kidding. There was somebody who was falling asleep, and everyone was kind of looking at him like, hey, dude, you're snoring. And, prodding him to try to wake him up, but he kept, nodding off and then waking back up. Another unique thing about Kent's church is the dais, where at the front of the church, that's where Kent's recording studio is. So everybody in the audience is seeing essentially where he's live streaming. He's got this little setup, this little cubicle with a desk and all these books and shelves behind him with, let's just say, a bunch of really bizarre and interesting things for a church to have, including just a really creepy baby mask for Creationist Crybaby. This is the desk that he films all his videos at, and this is what it looks like from Kent's perspective. Fascinating. Now, after the service, I went up to go and meet with Kent. So I tried my best to do sort of an undercover kind of low-key filming of this, but I utterly failed. The footage looks horrible. I didn't get Kent's face at all, but here's just some of the dialogue, I guess. Maybe I couldn't hear what Kent was saying. I totally did not understand. I think it might be Russian. So for any Russian speakers in the audience, please tell me what the heck did Kent tell me when I met with him? Hey, Kent. Yeah. I'm starstruck over here. Yeah, well, I don't know what that means.
Oh, you're not Russian?
I'm not Russian. Nope, from Texas. But I drove all the way over here. I took you up on your offer. You said, "Come on down. You'll give me the tour." You know.
First, we gotta have lunch.
Yeah. Lunch sounds good to me. I wasn't sure if he recognized me from our earlier debates or not, but he seemed kind of curt, real terse, and just said, let's go eat lunch. It seemed like he was kind of processing the fact that I had just shown up unannounced at a total surprise. So we then go and get lunch. So lunch was some fried chicken. It was pretty decent, and I couldn't help but notice as I'm getting the food and sitting down with the other residents there at Dinosaur Adventureland that, there are just around the kitchen are just copies of Kent's material, shall we say. There's just little posters full of, here's why whale evolution sucks, like right there in the kitchen, and here's why evolution is really Hitler Nazism, and just all kinds of weird things to be around where you're eating. So then, after I finished eating, like right after, Kent sits down and says, "All right, let's take you on a tour." And then there was another person with us who had been working there for 2 weeks and had never gone on a tour yet. So I felt, pretty special that I was already getting a tour right off the bat. But he asked, hey, I've been here for 2 weeks. I haven't had a tour. Can I tag along with y'all? So the three of us then proceeded to go to Kent's Jeep, which is bright yellow, had the Dow logo on it. It was looking straight out of Jurassic Park. And we pile up in this Jeep and we go on the tour, a driving tour around the property. And we stop for Kent's jokes and to point out various things.
The male duck's penis is longer than his body. It spirals clockwise. Her vagina spirals counterclockwise.
Do you know how I said that there were posters that were essentially what Kent's slideshows are, but they were just posters posted in the kitchen on all the available surfaces, next to the coffee machine, next to the tables, where you're getting your food, etc.? Yeah, that's not just indoors, that's outdoors too. They're on all these trees. Every time where we get to stop, there's always a poster there. And it's just straight out of his slideshows, essentially.
This is propaganda. This is not science. We never see a cow produce a non-cow.
And they're just plastered everywhere. It was like, and especially once you get into the Creation Museum itself, they are literally on every available surface. Incoherent anti-evolution scattering of posters that are just all over. I mean, it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming to the senses walking into this museum. It felt like, that web of conspiracy theories where you're just pointing out to it and, oh, it's all connected. It's just all these spatterings of thoughts and random ideas and anti-evolution ramblings on literally every single direction that you look. All throughout the museum, there were all these little signs that would say, like, lie number 6,000,012. And every time, like, the way that they were formulated, it's like what he wrote down as the lie was a lie. Like, it was what Kent Hovind is saying. Like, he'd say, lie, the geological column does not exist. Correct. That is a lie, Kent. It very much does. Or he'd say, lie, fossils and genetics do not prove evolution. It's like, Yeah, we all agree, Kent, that that is a lie. Genetics and the fossil record do prove evolution. So thank you for agreeing. I mean, it was like, I know what he was trying to go for, but just like the lack of self-awareness on that was just extremely ironically hilarious. But there were some really cool parts about the tour too, mostly getting to meet all the animals. So there were, ducks and cows and chickens and goats.
Hey, cow. You want to really make friends with them, you give them an apple. The cows, I mean the horses especially.
Well, I thought the animals didn't care what you called them.
They don't care. I need to know to distinguish to other people what I'm talking about. Here, watch this. Here, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on, kitty. Come on, kitty.
Oh, we didn't take it. You called him a kitty.
And emus. I got to pet a freaking emu. First time in my life I've ever pet an emu. That was certainly really cool.
Wow.
You keep him warm?
That's a big dinosaur.
Come here. Come here. Come here. It's okay, boy.
Oh, look at this little guy. Oh.
And then we get to a part in the tour where there's a fork in the road, and Kent asks us, would you like the real tour or would you like the grandma tour? He didn't elaborate any more than that. So Sergio and I both chose the real tour, and to this Kent says, oh, okay, you like the real tour, and then just floors on the accelerator and veers off on the wheel and starts driving like a madman.
Hey, Sergio, you wanted the real tour, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Sergio? Hey, you're sure, right? Okay, just making sure. You still back there, Sergio?
I'm just gonna go ahead and go on the other
Okay.
side.
Oh.
Sergio, you want the real tour?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And throughout most of the tour, he would remind us of this all of a sudden. Oh, you wanted the real tour, right? And just, I mean, it was like off-roading. I mean, it definitely got the adrenaline going up. There were also like lots of like carrot top level puns everywhere. Like Kent would say, oh, hey. And then we would look and there's just a bale of hay right there. And there were just tons of puns throughout the tour like that. I mean, I would say like 70% of them were not even evolution or creation related. They were like just dad jokes, which, I did have a weakness for, and I have to admit, I was laughing at a lot of those jokes. Sue me, I know. But it was funny, man. Like, a lot of them were funny, I got to admit. I mean, I told Kent this, that he really missed his big opportunity in life to be a stand-up comedian, where he could do some real good in the world and bring laughter to people instead of trying to tear down science.
Yeah, I used to play grand piano in a marching band. It hurt my back so bad. I had to quit. We've had almost 270 baptized in our lake here. And over here on the left is our Tyrannosaurus. If you climb up and down 3 times, you'll be tired. And sore.
I got to admit, you've had me cracking up all day.
Okay. And Sergio, you wanted the real tour, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Sergio.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Come up here at night and watch the stars. It's beautiful up here.
Oh, wow.
No city lights anywhere. It's incredible. Get the panorama view of the whole thing. Down the hill. This is like joining the Marines or getting married or having kids or buying a new truck. You're stuck, son. You got to finish the job. So, Sergio, would you like to try it?
Oh.
Did he say yes?
I don't think he said anything.
I do that all the time with the kids.
Woo.
Yeah, no, you heard that right. He does that all the time with the kids. Trying to distract them so that he can just slam on the gas and start driving real dangerously just to freak them out and cause them to panic. Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, it's really great. And I actually was talking to one of the employees, and she was telling me how she's actually only ever seen him give the grandma tour one time, because the person he was giving the tour to was so morbidly obese that basically you wouldn't be able to drive like that without being able to tip the whole vehicle is what she was telling me. So it sounds like regardless of what the kids choose, if they say that they want the real tour or the grandma tour, he's either going to guilt them into the real tour or just completely ignore what they say and give them the real tour anyway, and just be taking all these very adrenaline inducing dangerous driving detours to the tour. So that's great. That's lovely. As an adult, I had fun. I chose the real tour, but, you know, kind of messed up to be doing that to kids against their will. Just saying. There was also a part of the tour where it was like a joke. He would go to the edge of a cliff and say, "Do you want the real tour or the grandma tour again?" And then it was like some kind of lesson that, like, you should listen to your parents or something. At the bottom of the cliff, he put a bunch of skeletons down there and said, "Those are the kids that didn't listen and chose the real tour against the advice of their parents and like died and fell off the cliff or something." Like, this was like the lesson. This was baked into the tour, which, like, when you consider the fact that a child has actually died on Dinosaur Adventureland, like, this is just in the worst taste imaginable. Like, this is like, the mind is, I cannot comprehend how he could think that this is a good idea to, like, have a joke about kids dying on the tour when kids have literally died at your park. Like, come on. Towards the end of the tour, we get to the lake, and Kent, completely unprompted, by the way, I didn't bring this up at all, but I guess it's just part of the tour, but he points out that a small child drowned in this lake. He makes it very clear, "Oh, I was all the way on the other side of Dal. I was busy. I was preoccupied. And it's all the parents' fault. The parents were not watching their child. It's not that Dal isn't safe or that, you know, we did anything wrong." It takes absolutely no responsibility and brings it up during the tour. Again, I don't know if this is regular, but it seemed like it, that he was bringing up the fact that he bears no responsibility for this child's death, and that the parents still love Dinosaur Adventureland, and they did absolutely nothing wrong. There's no issue with any of their safety regulations, okay? I mean, it was just like, I don't know, really messed up. I felt gross listening to the whole thing. For him to just be bringing that up in a manner to try to shirk all responsibility for not having proper safety procedures in place in your own theme park. Like, come on. And especially in light of some of the more recent allegations and legal battles that have been going on at Dal from some other forms of negligence rather than drowning, but actually, like, allowing a known child predator onto Dal to, like, prey upon young kids. Yeah, kind of wild. I'm surprised he didn't bring that up too preemptively, to try to talk about how he's not responsible for that at all and that never happened, and to try to get ahead of it. I mean, I'm surprised that never came up in my entire trip there, to be honest. But yeah, just super yikes.
We had a family come 4 years ago with 2 twin boys. They were 7 years old, and the dad was in here, and the kids are out here swimming, and they were kind of hyperactive kids anyway. One of the kids came up under the dock and hit his head and knocked himself out and drowned. Well, the dad loves our ministry. He doesn't blame us at all. He paid to get the gazebo built on the end. We've got a sign up there in honor of Stephen, his son. But the atheists say, "Oh, that's an evil place because a kid drowned there." People drowned all over the world. The dad was with him. It's not my fault. I was up at the house at the church. So yeah, we did have one drowning here, and it was an accident. And the dad does not blame anybody. It's one of those things that happens. Pensacola Beach has had hundreds of drownings. We should shut down the whole city of Pensacola because of that. Oh, hey.
And then immediately after that, he makes another dad joke level pun about hay. Just right after the whole thing explaining that child's death. After the tour ends, Kent says that he is going to go take a nap, and that I can go and look in the Creation Museum and look around. And I really cannot stress to you enough how eerily silent it was at Dinosaur Adventureland. Like, just wandering around the grounds, it's just completely silent. You barely even see anyone in midday. The only thing that breaks up the silence is the occasional shriek of a random exotic bird, like a peacock or a parrot. There really was not many people there. Like, after the church service, which seemed to be entirely made up of people that lived at Dinosaur Adventureland, right? So lots of people live and work there, I guess. Or, if you need a place to stay and you just show up, I guess Kent will let you stay there and put you to work or something. But once they all left after lunch, I didn't hardly see a soul. The whole 24 hours I was there, I think I was the only guest that showed up. I guess Kent had not given a tour in the last 2 weeks, or at least not one where Sergio could have joined. So it was really strange. It does not seem like a very successful theme park in terms of the number of people going there. After I had finished looking around the Creationist Museum, I then went and checked out the cabin that they had given me to stay the night in, which was pretty decent. There were, 4 single beds. They actually had sheets on them and towels. So in just about any hotel or motel in America, in the nightstand next to the bed, you're going to find a copy of the Bible. So I thought, it's guaranteed that there should be a Bible in these cabins at Dal. But no. When you open up the nightstand next to the bed, all you will find is extra copies of Kent Hovind DVDs. The man has literally replaced the Bible with himself. So I was checking the cabin out when there was a knock on the door, and it was Kent saying that his wife and he would like to take me out to dinner. Okay, and then he introduced me to his maybe 11, 12-year-old-ish stepdaughter and her friend, and said that they were going to show me the reptile room, and then they were going to go out for dinner. So I thought, okay, it's kind of strange and very trusting to just, leave a random adult man that you just met earlier today alone in a room with your underage stepdaughter and her friend. But okay, especially in light of some of the things that have allegedly occurred at Dinosaur Adventureland, right? But okay, I got to admit, she was actually super cool. She had a little adolescent monitor lizard in one hand, and she was showing me all the other critters with the other, like the scorpions and the tarantulas, and she was absolutely fearless. And so was her friend. They were pretty cool. They showed me around the reptile room, showed me the animals, and then it was time to go to Kent's house. So I went inside Kent's home and saw the inside, saw his Christmas tree, the living room, the kitchen, and the works. It was pretty nice. He said that they were donated a lot of that stuff from some of their contractor buddies, and the house itself was donated. I mean, Kent never passed up the opportunity to point out any time that they got something for free or it was donated to Dinosaur Adventureland. I also saw right by the door of his house, there's a little craft station where he's making all of these little anti-evolution posters to stick up on every single tree and available surface. And then it was time for dinner. So Kent and his wife, who was very kind and gracious towards me, they took me, just me, out for dinner into town. It was like maybe a 20-minute drive to a Chinese buffet. It was absolutely not what I was expecting to have happened. So we get to the Chinese buffet. We're, eating dinner, eating Chinese food. It's like just absolutely bizarre. I'm sitting across the table from Kent and his wife. They're asking me kinds of questions. It was almost like they'd never spoken to an atheist before, or some of the questions that they had just seemed like genuinely curious. Like, where do you get your morals from? And, they asked me about politics. Where do the atheists line up in the 2024 election? They were asking me all these kinds of questions where, like, it just kind of seemed like, I don't know, just basic questions about atheism or just my own worldview. So that was fine. I mean, it was kind of a cordial conversation, and we were eating. And then I forgot how this got brought up, but Kent started talking about how the Bible is correct when it apparently says to kill all gay people. And I couldn't quite believe what was going on or how the conversation got there. He was talking about how, it makes sense medically or logically or scientifically, because he said it's like cutting off a viral infection at the source. And he's saying that, anybody that's in contact with feces in their day-to-day life is going to be spreading disease or uncleanliness through society, and they needed to be culled. I mean, it was really a lot, and it was just like 0 to 60. Like, I don't even remember how we got onto this topic, and I was just like, I mean, the only thing I said was, Kent, I'm eating dinner right now. I don't want to be talking about feces or your extremist views. I mean, like, that stuff was just like genocidal and evil. Like, I did not want to be talking about that over dinner, especially when I didn't drive there myself. Like, this is too far away for me to walk back to my car. Like, I'm completely reliant on Kent and his wife for a ride at this point. I don't want to rock the boat too much and get into an argument over dinner. So that was about the only really notable thing that I can remember from dinner. And then after we eat, they say, there's a couple things at Walmart that we need to pick up. So we end up going Walmart shopping. And guys, this was, I mean, it was like I had like stepped outside of myself and was watching the whole thing play out. I mean, it was the most surreal experience. I mean, it's truly out of body. I'm going shopping at Walmart with Kent Hovind and his wife. And yeah, I mean, I just had to like pinch myself. Is this real right now? Is this happening? And yeah, every time we passed by a family that had children, Kent would engage with some sort of banter with them, like, oh, are you shopping for more? Or are you selling these kids you already have? And then, he would kind of have some banter back and forth with the parents, and then he would give out his business cards for Dinosaur Adventureland and said, come on down, because, yeah, it didn't really seem like they're getting many visitors. So he's trying to pass off as many of these business cards, trying to get as many people to come as possible. And it didn't really seem like it was that effective, but who knows? I mean, maybe some of them went. I don't really think that they did. So then we got back to Dinosaur Adventureland and the debate happened. I've already posted the debate. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It was a pretty good discussion. After the debate, Kent then retires, goes to bed, and I go back to the cabin for a little R&R. And let's talk about this cabin a little bit, right? Because so pretty sparse of decoration until you get to the bathroom. And there were two things in the bathroom that I just thought were completely emblematic for what the experience at Dinosaur Adventureland was like. So you're sitting on the toilet. To your left is the toilet paper holder, which is a dinosaur. Shocker. But it was actually super cool. And then on the right, you've got the shower. And the shower tiles are in the shape of a giant cross. So there you go. You've got the dinosaurs. You've got the religion. You've got the whole basic package of what Dinosaur Adventureland is all about. And so yeah, I take a shower and, I'm trying to turn the shower faucet on and the whole handle just breaks off in my hand. So, sorry, Kent, I didn't tell anybody. I just tried to put it back on. Sorry if I broke your shower handle, buddy. And, yeah, I mean, I got a good night's sleep. Everything went fine. Woke up the next morning and got breakfast. They apparently made a big old breakfast just for me. Eggs and bacon. Breakfast was good. I talked to Kent a little bit more. And then told him that I was going to be heading out after breakfast. I'd be on my way. He said, I think the parting words he told me was, keep on climbing that mountain of truth, and then I'll see you when you get to the top. I've always been up there. So he was defiant to the end. He has all the answers. He knows all the truth. He's right about everything. Science is wrong, etc. I expected nothing less. So then I'm going out to my car, and then he comes up and to me again after we said goodbye and said, I just wanted to be sure that you had this, a certificate for I took the real tour, not the grandma tour. I took the real tour at Dinosaur Adventureland, a signed certificate from Kent Hovind. So he wanted to make sure that I had this. So I said, okay, thank you. It was framed and everything. I don't know what I'll do with it, but sure, I have the souvenir. I took the tour. So, and then I'm getting into my car and I'm driving off. I'm literally in my car, driving out of the parking lot, and Kent comes back for a second time. He comes back and says, look, I just want to make sure you have this. And he gives me this 6-page manifesto all about how Dinosaur Adventureland is not a cult. And this is answering a few common questions about if they're a cult or not and why he answered. I mean, this is a very far-ranging document. I will post a link to where you can read this in the description if you're curious. But it covers everything from drug use at Dinosaur Adventureland to whether or not Kent beat his wife, which is all covered in here. And yeah, just a few things about how it's definitely not a cult, guys. And it was the very first question that he asked me in the debate was, now that you've been here, do you think Dinosaur Adventureland is a cult? I mean, I could tell it's a very important topic to him. But, methinks thou doth protest a little too much, Kent. You've got about 30 people that are living out there, attending your church services regularly. One of the workers there was telling me that, the reason he came out to Dinosaur Adventureland is because he made a pact with God that he was going to give 1 year of his life in the service of God. And so then that's what made him come out and decide to start working for Kent Hovind. I mean, it's got a lot of red flags, That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of red flags. Did I have fun at Dinosaur Adventureland? Yes. Both unironic fun with the off-roading and all the animals and the actual real science demonstrations. Yes, those were fun. And the ironic kind of fun, where I'm mostly just laughing at all the ridiculous anti-evolution, anti-science claims that Kent makes. Yes, that was also quite fun, I'm not gonna lie. And even some of his jokes were actually funny. So the question on everyone's mind, would I recommend going to Dinosaur Adventureland? No, I would not. Just go to a real science center where your family can learn about real science. The demonstrations that they get to do are much more fun and, crucially, much more safe for your family. Don't put your family at risk between all the various accidents and, let's say, ongoing legal disputes about the kinds of things that happen at Dinosaur Adventureland. Don't put your family at risk. Just take your kids to learn about real science instead. Even if you just want to go to laugh at Kent, as I basically did, and I did have a lot of fun doing so, even though, they were kind, they were generous. I personally felt safe there. It's just not worth it. I will say, though, that everyone there at Dinosaur Adventureland treated me with what felt like genuine kindness. They did put me up, they did feed me. So I'm grateful for the kindness that was shown to me, but that's not going to be enough for me to recommend anybody go to this place.
Another huge reason why no one should go to DAL is because you shouldn't give money to someone who thinks that all gay people should be killed. I cannot believe that I have to actually say that, but here we are.
In fact, Kent and Dinosaur Adventureland lost money because of my visit. They ended up spending more money on my visit than I ever would have made them in return. So I can confidently say that I've not helped them in any way in the filming of this video. No animals were harmed in the production thereof, other than the potential animal negligence going on at Dinosaur Adventureland. I don't know. There was a goat that they called Buckethead, where every time humans would go near them, this goat would stick their head in a bucket. Like, I don't know what happened with Buckethead, guys, but somebody save Buckethead. That goat has seen some trauma. I take solace in the fact that during my whole time there, I was the only guest that showed up at Dinosaur Adventureland. So, yeah, it looks like over the next few years that, you know, with just Dal not bringing in very much money and Kent slowly bleeding out his net worth, that Dinosaur Adventureland and Kent Hovind will be going the way of the dino. Extinct. Thanks for watching. Check out my channel for more content debating pseudoscientists and creationists. And if you guys want me to go to more creationist museum or landmarks, let me know in the comments.